What is coaching? Why is it important? And is coaching a one-way street? Let's unfold.
We have to coach it. I mean, that's what they get. That's what they pay us to do, to coach them. They have to be willing to receive coaching. And on the whole, my whole preach after the practice was we got a lot of guys that put their hands up. They're offended when you coach them. I'm not talking about the freshmen. I'm talking about in general. So we had multiple NFL coaches come through here, go to practice, and they talk about how their players love to be coached. They love to be given a nugget, a technique that might help them play longer or play better. And some of our guys are offended by it. It's like, you're coaching me hard, like you're telling me I got to play with effort. And some of them, I guess, have never been held to that standard, but that standard is not going to change here.
All right, so we just looked at a clip of Coach Smart talking about his guys ultimately not really enjoying coaching. And he said something key in that conversation, but we're going to get to that in a second. But first, I want us to kind of think at work, or if you've ever been on a team, how comfortable were you when you get feedback, when you are coached? How does that make you feel? I know for me, because I'm in a new role right now, it's very uncomfortable. It is very uncomfortable. And at my job, one of the things that all leaders and managers participate in is a class that assists with the development of coaching rather than just management. And they are very different. Management and coaching are not the same thing. So it's important that we're able to identify what coaching is to begin with. So let's get into that first. What is coaching? Well, according to the International Coaching Federation, coaching is defined as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. Now, I always say this to people. I don't think we should be labeling managers as leaders in every scenario. And in the same way, I don't think we should always name coaches leaders in every scenario. And the reason being is because there are some coaches that have the name coaches, but they don't do the things that were defined here. It's important to understand that the first key term here that we see in this definition is partnership. It's partnering. This is something we're doing with the person that we are coaching. We're not doing it at them. And I think it's important to understand that. Now, granted, in football, that may be a little different because they may need to be a little more direct, but I think there is still that balance because even Coach Smart said it himself. He literally said, it is collaborative. Like, we have to collaborate with each other. And he's leaning back into this definition of coaching requires partnership. At the crux of all of this, it's partnership and relationship when you are coaching, because you can't coach anyone and you can't get them to think creatively or unlock untapped sources of imagination, productivity, or even leadership within them if you do not know them and there is not an active participation on both sides, and more importantly, an active partnership on both sides in said coaching, mentee, mentor relationship. Okay, so that's first. So that's what coaching is. So I want to talk about, why is coaching even important? According to Forbes, when coaching is executed properly, it provides greater intrinsic motivation. In other words, it inspires the self-directed willingness to try new things and make new discoveries. And again, it's supposed to turn on the light within you and make you just overflow with all the best parts of you and bring out all these great things. That's why it's so fun when we watch players develop. It's fun because when they're with the right coach, something magical happens. And it makes me think of Phil Jackson with the Bulls, or Steve Kerr with the Warriors and what he did with that organization, or Greg Popovich. I mean, the things he's done, Gino Auriemma, the things he's done with the UConn. I mean, that's what real effective coaching does. I can say these names and you probably can be transported back to these different eras of success that they have put on display, and these men and women who have been positively impacted by these coaches, because that's what they're doing. That partnership is bringing out something. It's a creative process that inspires this person to maximize their personal and professional potential. That is why coaching is important, because it's bringing out the best in you. And so Forbes then continues, though, and says, coaching takes on a collaborative and empowering approach, pointing team members towards their own resourcefulness and insight. One of my favorite things about coaching is that in being coached, I see that in the same way I'm being directed and pointed to all the things I need to let go of in my character that are not serving me, I'm also being pointed to all the great things about me that I need to carry, and more importantly, look at and examine and understand. This is a great quality about you. And this is something that if you lean into it, it could be really great. You know, that's the special part about coaching. And so I think that part really stands out to me, because it goes back to that empowerment piece. Coaches are meant to empower us to feel as though we can conquer the world, whatever that means to us. Like, I can do this, you know what I mean? It then continues and says, the coach asks the employee to self-identify and self-direct towards what's missing. The idea is to make the unconscious conscious as the employee discovers blind spots and opportunities rather than being told, scolded, or critiqued in a particular direction. Now, this is where the nuance comes in, because some of you may be thinking, well, Jerry, clearly you've never played a sport, because my coach went in on me because I didn't do XYZ, XYZ. And I think there is obviously a time and place for those things in sports. And I think similarly in the corporate world, that comes in different forms, right? Like, it may not look like, hey, you're getting reprimanded all the time, but it may be like, for me, if I do something that isn't the best or it's not going to be the most productive, my supervisor's like, hey, next time this needs to be done. And there are moments where it is more direct and it is more to the point. But I think part of that time is that there is this level of freedom where you are given the opportunity to execute. And when you execute, sometimes you mess up. And when you mess up, that's when that pointed correction comes in. And it's like, hey, let's not do that again, right? Like, this is why we're not going to do that again, because XYZ, XYZ. And that may come in the form of, at least in the sports, you're getting scolded, you're getting yelled at, whatever. But then it also comes in the form of, we're on the sideline and we're talking through play by play. In practice, we're walking through play by play what's going on in the field and what should you be seeing, and thinking from different vantage points. And in the same way in the corporate world, we're doing that all the time, especially if you're in a position like I am, where you work cross-functionally in every single aspect of your job. You're always working with so many other people, so you have to consider so many other things. And that's why I love looking at sports in terms of sports and leadership, because it bleeds into so many other things. And I think leadership is just so universal. But to continue, though, this is just kind of leading into, why is coaching important? This is why. Like, this is what we're getting out of coaching. And this part I highlighted in green because, this to me is the biggest reason why. The coach's agenda is insight, the kind of knowledge that comes from the inside, and behavioral change. Insight is critical because, in my experience, this is the author, if someone doesn't see something for themselves, it doesn't exist. I mean, I don't think it could have been said any better. Coaches they're like magicians, honestly. Because when you go to a magic show, if you've ever been to a magic show or even seen magic done, at least really good magicians, like David Blaine, he's amazing, right? When he does things, he does it so close up to your face that when it happens, it's like there's just no way that could have happened because I was looking at you. And then you know how when people like see a magic trick and then they run away because it's just like I can't be near this. Like, this is crazy. I just can't even believe what I just saw. That's what coaches are doing because they know the real trick is here. But you think the trick is here. The external, oh, I need to get this done. Oh, I need to make this play. No. The real play is in here and in here. That's what they're doing. And so when you get through that play and then you get to know the implications of, oh, so when I do this and I do this, this is why those light bulb moments that we have after we've learned through execution and through discipline and through disciplined coaching and disciplined collaborative coaching, those are the reasons why it's so important to have a coach. That is why coaching is so key, because they are helping us unlock parts of ourselves that maybe we did not even know existed. And they are more importantly helping us add on new skills to our arsenal so we can do more, so we can be more, so we can execute at a higher level. Okay? Now, in continuing on with this conversation, I keep going back to the fact that he said, if a coach wants to coach, but a player or an employee, whomever, doesn't want to be coached, how far does it lean on the coach to take responsibility for players like that? So I went to this book called Good to Great. I don't know if y'all have heard of it. And ultimately, it's about why some companies leap and others don't. Why some companies stay good and others go from good to great. And in his book, he has this diagram I'm going to show you guys. And it shows this graphic of essentially movement within a company, where a company starts to build up, to do all the things to build up, and then finally they break through. And you see the first part here, it says build up. It says disciplined people, disciplined thought, disciplined action. Before we can get to the breakthrough, we have to build up, but I think even before that, we have to break in. And I think sometimes we have to break into our own self, our own psyche, our own heart, and truly develop the culture. Because yes, our coach leads the culture, but as the team, we are the walking embodiment of the culture. So there's no way we can be a team of greatness if we are not embodying greatness down to when it comes to practice, right? When it comes to getting correction, when it comes to getting feedback, we're not doing that. Because if we go back to what Coach Smart was saying, he was saying that his colleague, who I assume coaches guys in the NFL, they like to get those nuggets of knowledge. The attribute is greatness. The behavior is wanting nuggets of knowledge so they can improve every single day. Smart's camp is not doing that. So their attribute cannot be greatness because they do not exhibit behaviors of greatness. Okay? So here, in this diagram, when we talk about this, disciplined people, the attribute here is discipline, but ultimately the behavior would have to be, hey, can I get that feedback from you after practice? Hey, can we watch film? Hey, how did I do on that presentation? But saying this after every single presentation, after every single practice, during every practice. Hey, could I have communicated that a little bit clearer? At some point, we have to take responsibility for why we are not great yet. And a part of that is because we are not doing our due diligence to execute on our side of the coaching. Are we tracking? Does this make sense? Okay. I said okay like y'all are here, but I would assume y'all are saying yes. Now, something else Collins says is, he says, whereas the good to great companies had level 5 leaders who built an enduring culture of discipline, the unsustained comparisons had level 4 leaders who personally disciplined the organization through sheer force. So, my question is to those guys who don't want to be coached and people generally who do not want to be coached, would you rather it be a choice or would you rather it not be an option? Because again, what did we talk about earlier? What is the definition of coaching? Let's go back. What's the definition of coaching? Coaching is defined as a partnership with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. The process of coaching often unlocks previously untapped sources of imagination, productivity, and leadership. If it does not look like that, it's not coaching. So when we get here to John Collins and he says people have developed this culture of discipline through sheer force, does that sound like coaching? No, it doesn't. That's not coaching. Coaching is an active collaboration between two parties, the coach and the teammate, the coach and the client, whomever it may be. It is an active participation between both parties. It is not something that's forced upon them, right? So when you have a coach like Coach Smart, who is like, my guys don't want to be coached, but we want to be great. How does that make sense? That's why. Because it's like, man, I don't want to force it, but also this is my standard. And he said that at the end, the standard is not changing. The standard is not changing if you don't want to be coached. And I'm sure there's a little bit of like, if you don't want to be coached, get off the team. Because in this organization, this is the requirement. I want to get to know my guys. I want to be there with my guys because I want us to be great. Effective coaches, they like to be around people who are great. So maybe at some point, yes, there are some people who are not great coaches. But for those who are great, don't take it for granted. Because if you are in a position, in an organization that has coaches who want to coach effectively, choose it every time. Don't take that for granted. But again, this goes back to the fact that we have a part in this relationship. It's either a culture. And what did I just say before this? The coach leads the culture, but we are the physical embodiment of the culture. We animate the culture. We are the culture. Period. Can't be one without the other. The coach can't say, hey, we're great, we're great, we're great. And we don't want to come get coached and we don't want to show up to practice and go full out and do all the things. It doesn't work like that. We got to find a balance. We cannot stay down here because if the coach is, I'm an effective coach and I'm going to stay up here, this is the standard. At some point, you just got to come up here. But that's it. That's it, guys. This was a great conversation. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. This was fun. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think coaching can be a one-way street? And another question, have you ever had a coach that was effective? If so, tell me about them. Who were they? I would love to get those encouraging comments, but please hit that big thumbs up button, leave a comment down below, share the video, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see y'all in the next one. Y'all stay unfolded. Peace.